Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be here today with you today on this panel on agentic AI and how it enables new levels of productivity. My name is Nicolas Maechler. I'm a senior partner at McKinsey, and I lead our customer experience practice globally. Today, to explore this new frontier, I am delighted to be joined with four distinguished panel experts today. Christophe Vermont, who is the Chief Technology and Transformation and Technology Officer at AXA in France, who is at the forefront of driving digital transformation in the insurance industry. Vincent Colegrave, Head of AI, Strategy and Transformation at Syensco. A 7 billion chemical leader, Vincent enables every employee to be explorers of growth by driving transformation and rethinking key customer journeys powered by GenAI. Christian Buckner, Senior Vice President at Altair, a leader in providing software and cloud solutions for simulation, IoT, high-performance computing, data analytics, and artificial intelligence. And finally, Murali Swaminathan, Chief Technology Officer at Freshworks, renowned for building intuitive AI-powered software that makes IT and customer support teams more efficient and effective. Maybe before deep diving into the conversation, let me take a moment to set the stage a little bit on addressing some of the key questions around agent AI. In a way, making sure you probably have been there in the last days and heard about it a lot. These are new autonomous systems that help drive changes and act to achieve specific objectives using AI and in particular Gen AI to interact in complex environments. Thanks to the novelties of Gen AI enabled by Gen AI, these have really powered new horizons for companies to drive significant impact. Personally, at one of my clients that was unable to implement this at scale, so not a demo, not a pilot, but a real production environment, we managed to reduce, through a conversational agent, a cost by almost 50%, 44 in that case, while at the same time boosting satisfaction, customer satisfaction, by 6 points. So for the first time, you achieve actually both. However, in multiple McKinsey studies, we've seen a paradox. A lot of people are jumping on that, using customer generative AI to transform, but very few see the impact and the productivity in their bottom line. So we'll explore this today, and indeed, let's start digging deeper into a little bit of how your industries are impacted. And maybe let me start with you, Christophe, sorry. How do you see the impact of agent AI disrupt the insurance industry?
Thank you for your question. So I don't know if this will disrupt, but definitely that will transform our business. So let me give you first a very quick introduction about AXA. So we are a global leading insurance company. We are insuring 100 million of customers in every kind of risk they are facing, property and casualties, life and savings, health and protection, with a clear mission to act for human progress by protecting what matters. And this mission is really driving our transformation around AI, being human-centered. And I think in the agentic topic, that's an important point. So we were really early adopters of AI, of course, for many years, predictive AIs. We entered the Gen AI world 2 years ago with Secure GPT, which was our platform used by all our employees across the globe. And now we are into scaling AI for our core business capabilities. Let me give you a few examples. Now we are capable to develop and roll out conversational agents to support our people in doing their daily jobs. For example, in France, we have an agent called Smart in AXA supporting our distribution channels, the tied agents, so the similarity is interesting, so that they can access in a quicker, easier way to the information around our products, our coverages, the way we manage claims, so that they really gain time in answering customer requests. This is something visible. Another example with our customers, we have an online coach and agents as well, providing advices on best practices on how to reduce risks on the road. These are very concrete examples. Another area is how we provide simplification features to our people. For example, in our call centers and claims management team, we are now capable to analyze a customer request from voice or text, to provide insight on what could be the next step, and summarize conversation, again, so that our people can focus on expertise and customer satisfaction. And maybe the last one is on prevention. We are combining spatial data and AI to better prevent wildfires, risk of wildfires, and being more proactive in reacting and taking care of difficult situations in case of natural events. For example, floods. We used that in Valencia a few months ago to measure the water heights and react and act where this was the most important. Now we're entering the world of orchestrating all this, making sure that all those capabilities can work together by a system of agents, so that we become, of course, more competitive. We sell better our products, and more importantly, we simplify and magnify the customer experience in a way. So let's be clear, insurance business, it's a matter of advice, of care, it's a matter of expertise, so we won't become a synthetic company. We won't become a fully agentic-driven company. Customers will continue to request human interaction. Our experts will continue to assess risk. Our distribution channel will continue to provide advice, but this is clear that in the very near future, AI agents will be capable to handle simple requests, to support our people even more in managing their jobs. So we are moving into this world. The next step is how we industrialize this, and we are setting things up in that perspective with this clear principle of being human-centered. This is very important for us.
Thank you, Christophe. Indeed, almost naturally, insurance is full of agents, right?
True, tied agents, by the way.
Without play on words. Okay.
Human before all.
Human agents first. Maybe we switch to Vincent. How is Syensqo actually pushing the boundaries for, this agent world in the, let's say, industrial world and chemical world that you know better?
Thank you for your question. I think first I will do the same and just define very quickly what is Syensqo. So first, our name, Science Company. I think it's an easy way to remember that our core business is about science. To give you a bit of data points, like one of the two electric cars that is out there have our components. 70% of everything that is flying in the sky, from small VTOLs to bigger planes, have technologies of Syensqo. Or 50% of the hemodialysis that are done in the world, leveraging the technology in the membranes that we support our customers to develop. Just to give you that as an idea, that the complexity we need to manage on a day-to-day basis is realities of value chains, of realities that our teams need to face and to handle. And this is a perfect ground for Gen AI, for AI, for agentic AI to come into force. But to answer your question, I would say simply first, we are very humble, because we were talking together before we started that session, and I think we need to recognize that there is a lot that we all need to learn and to discover. So what we define as Syensqo is what are the key core business as well elements, capabilities that we wanted to augment and to really see how we could leverage the technology. And I will zoom on one. Our CEO calls it very simply our sales buddy. We have 2,000 people that are on the ground every day to meet our customers and to really understand, as it's about science, what are the properties, what are the problems, what are the unmet needs that needs to be solved. And this is where developing and having to go up to the very specific details of the issue on a specific application somewhere that can sit in Europe, in the US, in China, or in Asia, requires to digest quite a lot of data. And this is where we have been deploying and working very hands-on with the teams to ensure that we were able to deploy the first buddies, the first really agents being able to support our teams and able to hunt, able to be faster at the way they work with our customers, and to be even more precise into the data that they're bringing to life and to the offer that the company gives. So that's just the first stage. Then we see that we could start to link that towards our science, the core development that we do in our labs and so on. And here we see as well opportunities, but we're just starting to scratch the surface there. And we know that it's going to be quite a lot of, it's going to be a journey. So again, we are very humble, very excited. I think we learn every day, we fail. It's a very active and dynamic world. But to conclude on the sales body, we identified already 200 million of potential sale. And I'm saying that because this is something that is into our system. So when you look at that and you consider that 6 months ago we had nothing, and we're coming from an industry that started its life like 165 years old, I think it's a promising journey.
Thank you. When thinking about implementing these agents, obviously the technology and the IT angle comes in the conversation. So we're wondering also what needs to be in place. What are the IT readiness elements that need to be there? And I'd like to turn a little bit to you, Murali. What are the most promising use cases that you've developed, but also how do you address these IT implementation challenges?
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here. It's a very energetic conference. And like my panelists said, we are scratching the surface of AI and agentic platform. So Freshworks, to introduce yourself again, we are an enterprise-grade alternative to Salesforce and ServiceNow of the world, providing uncomplicated support for IT and customer service teams. And we do that through our AI-powered solutions. And our AI-powered solutions have become a lot more agentic. What does agentic mean? So we are trying to not just answer questions, but we're also trying to perform actions on behalf of our users. So there are multiple customers from different industries that use Freshworks products. We have about 73,000 customers around the world. I'm sure there are many in the room and many in France. We have over 2,500 customers in France using our products as well. So whether you are trying to answer a customer support ticket, or you're trying to book a travel booking, or you're trying to get a refund, or you're trying to get help from IT help desk, that's where Freshworks gets deployed. And in the agentic AI world, we have an AI agent studio, which allows you to build no-code AI agents. That means anybody, our business users don't need to be technical. They can deploy these AI agents quickly in order to get the maximum ROI out of the AI. So we want to make it AI as easy to adopt as possible. And that's where we deployed, we have created a platform for our customers to use AI in their regular business process. So that way they can deflect support. The biggest benefit comes in use cases when you have an AI agent deployed on customer service. It lets you deflect support tickets so that only the complex ones get to your support engineers. Similarly, if you are a human agent looking at tickets in the background, we have an AI copilot which helps you assist with resolving those tickets. That means we'll provide you with helping respond faster, show you similar tickets, help you with coming up with resolution notes. So anything that makes you resolve ticket faster, reducing costs, and then improving the productivity for your agents. And then finally, we have the AI insights piece, which is primarily for service desk managers and IT directors to look at what's going wrong. If there are any anomalies, we proactively flag it so that they can go ahead and fix it before it becomes a big problem. So all of these, we have customers like Hobbycraft, which have deflected over 30% of their support tickets through deploying our AI agents, which means that now they have a lot more time to work on complex tickets and improve customer satisfaction by at least 25%.
Impressive deployments indeed across many, many situations. Maybe turning to you, Christian. So how does Altair address this agentic opportunity? And if we switch to the IT part of the question, how do you ensure the right security guardrails are in place for your data, your clients' data? How do you address this?
Sure. So it's a great question. At Altair, honestly, we build a comprehensive data and AI portfolio of products. And as we were looking at agents and we were looking at how agents are being rolled out at our customers, the funny thing is that we realized a lot of the same problems that have existed in data analytics projects for decades, we've been doing this for decades, have continued to exist in the world of agents, the same that they existed in the past. There's still siloed data, there's still messy data, there's still enterprise existing legacy systems that need to be connected to that are 30 years old and communicate in formats that new agentic frameworks have no idea about. And so what we went forward in approaching our agentic platform and how we can provide tools for organizations that want to build agents is we started with these fundamental problems. We started with how do you connect to the enterprise systems that will power the agents the same way they power humans, that will power agents that actually understand the underlying data structures. And so the core first issues that we solved were in connecting to these legacy and established systems and getting the data out of them in a way that's actually meaningful for the rest of the business. And then we moved up from there in providing a semantic layer across those things that then can expose that data to agents in a way that those LLMs and those agents actually understand and humans understand, in a way that people can understand using concepts, not rows and columns and obscure column names and all these attributes that machines understand but humans and agents don't understand. Now we've taken this complex data landscape, this messy data landscape, and described it in a way that the organization and the agents can actually work with it. And that fundamentally means that you can then build much more powerful automation on top of that underlying foundation. And I think to your point at the very beginning that a lot of organizations are in this very first stage where they're experimenting, they're going out, they're finding open source tools, they're implementing those open source tools maybe on a department by department basis. But those projects, I think Gardner said, have like a 60% chance of failing. And the reason is because they're isolated in that particular use case. They don't take into account the underlying complexity that's always existed in data analytics. And so we put together a stack we feel like helps you get from that fundamental, messy, siloed data infrastructure that is as complex as 40 years of development can make it, and then build this next generation of automation on top of it. And it's those two steps that are necessary to actually implement agentic automation at a broad scale and go beyond those initial POCs and projects. And so you asked about guardrails. Guardrails are a critical element of that. And that fundamental data layer provides the access control, but also the context, regulations, compliance for the organization into that semantic layer, that underlying data layer. And you asked about how you can control the development across these different organizations. You want specified tools for specific skill sets within that organization. You want low-code tools for those who want to be building agents but don't understand Python and R and all those tools. And you want code tools for those that are data scientists and can focus on those things. But by having both in the same platform, you're enabling the entire organization to get the benefit of data, of agents, and build in the way that makes sense for them and collaborate towards the future. So you can have somebody, an operator on the factory line or in the business line, build in low code a tool, and then have a data scientist look at that and deploy it into production using the guardrails that exist in the centralized platform. And so for us, it was important to have each one of these layers so that the organization can go from these baseline POCs, but build on a foundation that allows them to scale up to 100, 1,000, 10,000 agents in the organization.
So clearly, a certain number of enablers are required. I think we all understood to get to a level where agents can start to become effective, and you can release them in a way in front of your employees or in front of your customers. Now, switching precisely to these, in many of our recent research, we've seen that one of the critical elements to put in place will be to make sure your employees or your customers are also prepared to what's coming. So in a way, how do you create this environment where people trust what's coming, accept and adopt the systems? By the way, I'm talking independently, employees or customers. And I would like to turn to you, Vincent, a little bit. What steps are you taking to ensure your teams internally and stakeholders are actually aligned, engaged, and moving along?
Yeah, I think this is the fundamental question, and you talk about the trust of the employees, but it's a general topic about going beyond the hype, going beyond, like as well, some people are scared about the technology and a very simple question about, am I going to lose my job? How is it going to affect me? So on our side, we spend a lot of time sitting down, talking. We are really proud of the fact that we had an agreement with our unions. And again, we have people on the shop floor on plants, we have people in the labs, we have people on the road. So you need to ensure that you have a common way of looking at it and agreeing on the points where you will disagree. And I'm not going to open too deep that door, but there is as well ethical, questions that are raising about how do you handle the technology. So you need to ensure that you have the right space to have that dialogue. And at the same time, we are businesses. So you need as well to develop and ensure that you have a right track record and that you're in capacity to really explain what's the value behind what you do. Because I think the first issue you can face is, wow, it's nice, it's sexy, it works, a bit to your points, on one POC somewhere, but yes, okay, what do? You cannot scale it, or you are not able to extract really core value for the business. So I think this as well, this set of governance and ensuring that you enable business value is something that is really at the core of the way we set up our team in Syensqo, is to ensure that we constantly push on that direction, and that we, even if it's frustrating, even if you need to have a bit of tough calls, but you have those discussions and you ensure what you do it to ensure that your company moves in the right direction. So it's a mix of all of that. That's why it's a journey. It's a fascinating one, full of emotions, of learnings and so on. But we do believe that's the only way we do. And I think, Christophe, you said it very well earlier. It's human first. And I think if you stick to that line, you should find the answers.
Excellent. Actually, turning to Christophe, in our preparation, you spoke to me a lot about what AXA has been doing on moving along your employees on this journey and preparing your customers for it. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, because I believe, of course, this is a technological transformation. I mean, we talked a lot about it. There is a lot to do from a technological standpoint. There is a lot to do in our infrastructure. For example, we started a quite ambitious cloud program many years ago in order to be ready. You mentioned the topic around data, having data quality, a good access to data, renovating our systems, our core systems, is a significant effort. But my belief is that the most significant effort is not there. It's indeed the way we manage the change. Technology is moving very fast, and we have this event today showing how fast this is going. But this is clear, and we should acknowledge that the time to absorb and the ability for our people to absorb those changes is not so fast. And this is where the effort have to be. And indeed, at AXA France, but it is true around the group in AXA, we started a program 2 years ago called Nadia, or New Ambition for Data and AI in AXA France, with, I would say, a few pillars. First is the strategic intent. So AI, Gen AI, agentic is coming also at the very heart of our strategic discussion at MC, ExCom level. And we put this as one of the 3 pillars of our strategic plan, the current one. And of course, the next one will be even more, maybe. So there is a real need of very strong leadership. Second is how we find the right balance between acculturation and continuous improvement, and we indeed put this technology in the hands of our employees to learn and let them get accustomed to it. But on the other hand, I think it's very important to focus. And this is where you were saying we need to extract value as we are businesses. And to do so, my belief is that we need to choose the areas where really the change will be and the value will be, and have a quite bold ambition on rethinking our processes from an end-to-end approach, rethinking the way job will change. And this is a dialogue we have to happen between IT guys, AI and agentic AI guys, technology guys, so that the change is really understood and we go in depth. This is, I think, very important. Third is indeed how we manage the cultural change. And Nadia is a lot about that, explaining, communicating, training everyone in the company about what it means to have the data of quality, what it means to work with AI, what those possibilities are. We've set a complete set of training to do so, from experts to, I would say, more expert users. We are animating a community of data experts. We have 2,000 data and AI experts referenced in the group, and we have a proper animation for that. So we are pushing this cultural change, and this is a everyday, I would say, work we are doing. And fourth, and you mentioned it as well, is how we anticipate the impact on HR and skills. Of course, job will change for good. This is our belief, because at the end of the day, those agents will handle tasks, maybe low value added, and our people will have the ability to focus on expertise, take care of our customers, which is what our mission is fundamentally. So there is a real opportunity, but it's indeed there are fears, there are doubts that we need to deal with, and we need to anticipate that. And we started the dialogue with unions very early as well, to a point where we crystallized at the end of last year an agreement with our unions, where very regularly, every 3 months, 6 months, we give full transparency of what we're doing, and we are involving them directly in the project. They are the first users of some of our use cases, so that the change is properly managed and we have positivity in what we are trying to do.
Thank you. So, in a way, if we step back, we've discussed all the great, forays you're doing in this new implementation of agents. We've discussed the IT challenges and how you're coping with it, the employee part, and how you're dealing with some of your customers. Obviously, there's a missing part in this conversation, which is the economic equation. So, in a way, how do you manage to drive, either directly for your companies or for your clients, an economic equation that has a positive ROI for it? And maybe, Christian, with Altair, how do you see that? How do you communicate that? How do you see your clients benefiting from your vast platforms of services that exist?
Sure. So I think if you looked at the ROI that can be generated from agentic programs, you would probably see a spectrum from it was a complete waste of time and we spent a bunch of money messing around, to really automating and creating impact in the organization and then producing that return on investment as a result. And I think if you looked at the one end of the spectrum where it was a complete waste of time and we spent a bunch of money and time doing it, you would find that organizations looked at this opportunity in a toy experimental way. They started to look at the open source options that are out there, and they messed around more with the system integration and architecture of trying to spin together 15 different open source tools into one combined platform, instead of focusing on the business processes that can actually produce real impact. And I think what we've seen is that those organizations, frankly, and I'm a platform provider, and so maybe I'm a little bit biased in this, but those that have gone to a platform have been able to forget about that system integration component and instead focus more on the how do we actually implement this in the business itself component. And I think that's the real important piece. And it's all the things that you guys mentioned also at the very beginning. It's not just technology, but removing that technology element allows you to look at how to actually implement agents at scale in the organization, how to manage the change, how to reduce the fear that exists in the employees. And I think if you can do that, then you're able to pull the lever instead of just messing around with the system integration in the beginning. And at our organization in particular, what we found is that it's especially helpful to have what we call a center of excellence. And that center of excellence works with organizations to do an AI assessment. And that AI assessment isn't about technology. It's about finding the lowest hanging fruit to go after and implement a really impactful project. And that first impactful project then becomes a way to get buy-in on project 2 and project 3 and project 4. And that rollout is what creates the massive ROI. The first one gets you in the door, not us, but gets the organization, the people who said, I want to start implementing agents, gets them in the door for actually implementing, and then adding that across the organization and putting it in a centralized way. And so those two combinations of things, implementing a platform so that you can have that foundation for building agents at scale and allowing organizations like us to deal with the complexity of every 2 weeks there seems to be a new agentic framework out there that you have to figure out how to use. We'll be the ones to figure that out. Is it MCP? Is it A2A? What is it? We'll do that. We'll add those supports so that you don't have to figure that out. We'll be the ones who figure out the skill set of system integration. You be the ones that figure out the skill set of creating impact. And we can help with that second piece, but it really comes down to the business to manage the change, manage the people, and put it into place. And so I think that's where we found the most success in the right end of the spectrum.
So indeed, and just to complement, McKinsey just published a paper, actually we're releasing it for VivaTech, that most of the usages were generic and horizontal so far of GenAI. We're now switching to vertical cases that are going deep in the business based on this, let's say, access to data that has been now provided. But now it's the time to go deep on employee journeys or customer journeys that actually you can digitize with agents. Murali, do you want to give a few elements about what Freshworks is doing on proving the ROI to your clients?
Yes. I think adding on to everything our panelists said, that's true, that you can't do it all on day one. You have to prove yourself in a smaller audience with different use cases before you go big, right? AI is all about trying it in increments, iteratively, and going big. So a lot of the work that we do is we are innovating while we are actually doing the work. Typically, so most of the AI efforts that we see, that I think you talked about employee journeys or customer journeys, that's a great place to put AI in place, where you pick a specific business problem. It could be a vertical specific problem. In the case, it could be a vertical retail or a travel. So you're trying to build, you're trying to provide deflection. You're trying to provide reduction in cost. You are trying to provide benefit of deploying an AI agent, which primarily comes in at scale, right? When you have AI agents, you can work with lean organization. You can support seasonality. That means you don't have to staff up agents in the back when there is peak loads. So those are the places where you get a lot of benefit. But the AI agents you deploy have to be vertically enabled. Otherwise, it doesn't serve the business problem. So that's how we operate as well. So we have built a set of verticalized agents for customers to use, and we let our customers build their own AI agents as well. So the ROI comes from high deflection, reduced costs, and also improving productivity of the people who are working on those solutions. So it's a cumulative effect, and it's also about showing the benefit to your organization, and then building on that success and expanding it. So it's land and expand is a very common thing that happens in AI. So that's how we show ROI of our solutions.
Deflection, productivity, and also augmentation of
Yes.
certain people. Christophe, you wanted to comment on
Yeah,
AXA's
Just,
ROI view?
No, but very quickly, I think the ROI question is an important one. First, indeed, we need to be humble about that because we are at the very beginning. There are significant investments to be done, and thank you if you are providing solutions. Maybe we can go faster. But this is true. I mean, we need to unlock the data. There's a lot to be done. But there are low-hanging fruits, clearly, in supporting with, I mean, basic conversational agent first, and basic data. But even there, it's tricky sometimes because you need to make sure everything is working well, that the accuracy is well, so there is but there are low-hanging fruits. The fully orchestrated agentic world will require investments. And then the question is, where will be the value? And our opinion is this, of course, efficiency, but this is also a tremendous opportunity to grow our business, to be better in doing our business. And this is by itself creating value, as well as customer. The way we, magnify, I was saying, the customer experience is also bringing value. So in many ways, I think those featured, agentic features will bring value in the future. But indeed, I think the point is avoid mushrooming, focus on really where is the value, rethink the process, and you say that from an end-to-end perspective so that we really extract the value from an activity that is supported by AI, and being humble in grabbing the low-hanging fruits and going step by step. But we are taking the train, as we said in the preparation work.
Maybe Vincent, a few words on the ROI as well on your side from your perspective?
I think quite a lot has been already said and covered on that. Made me think about one element that is critical for us is with this journey transformation, on our side, we try to apply the we care and we dare. And Christophe, you just mentioned that it's accelerating. That's really the feeling we have, and we have this vision that on few elements that are really the core businesses one, we know that the ROI will be massive, because if I just stick to science, if I stick to chemistry, there is a reason why today when you go on ChatGPT, you cannot yet solve quite a lot of chemical problems because it's something that yet hasn't been cracked. So here I'm looking at the stage, I'm looking at everybody here in the audience. So there is as well a huge opportunity, for the ecosystem to really bring shared value and to really try to say, okay, we are going to go there together. So this is where you start as well changing the collaboration with your customers, with your partners, because you realize that the speed of that technology, those agents, they will not be really only looking at our company per se, but they will be interacting with other agents coming from other companies and so on. So start feeling, okay, how do I orchestrate that? How do I ensure that my guardrails, connect to the other ones? And so you start to open, more and more questions as you go. So this is why, to be able to unlock that value, you need to be very clear about the direction you want to take. You need to be very clear about your values, the way you want to get there. And then you're going to unlock that based on what was shared here in the panel, based on all these step-by-step value that you unlock up to the point where it becomes like a normal business operation. But if you start tackling those problems that are way bigger than you, I think this is where you start rallying a lot of people internally and a lot of people outside. So that's really where it triggers a lot of hope and a lot of inspiration for a lot of people around us.
Thank you. So thinking back on this conversation, I think, by the way, the question of the panel was how to unlock the productivity. How is it and not what productivity? So in a way, everybody sees the possibilities, even if you pushed a little bit the boundaries as well. People think about the cost productivity of your existing cost base. But I think, as Christophe said, there's also a revenue opportunity which is large, and indeed agents have a role to play either in direct sales enablement or in customer satisfaction, which at the end generates more retention and more satisfied customers with cross-selling. And even where, Vincent, you got to areas that are not cost, not revenues, but unseen areas, not cracked yet problems that will probably unlock. And so if we step back on this conversation, clearly multiple pillars on which the work needs to happen. Obviously a big IT part where I think, Christian, you said a lot about extracting the data from where it is a little bit hidden or blocked or inaccessible or difficult to understand, so that all the agents that you put on it can have the maximum value. At the same time, thinking about how all the protection that is required, the hallucination that could be possible, so the guardrails that you need to put from what the system could generate or the attack that could come from the outside, the governance around the IT as well is extremely important. Then we moved into the conversation on your employees, how to bring them along. It's a threatening move, right? Indeed, if you don't bring the employees, the culture, the mindset, or the unions simply alone, they will not follow. They will think my job is threatened, and why should I follow this? I'm going to resist. You need to have a story, but you need to bring them along and bring the capabilities up so that they are not afraid of it. I think the customers, we discussed a lot about how it could be better for them. And let's not be naive. Clearly, it will require investments. So somewhere there are CFOs in organizations that need to be satisfied, and and external stakeholders that invest into your companies. You cannot invest without some views about the returns. So let's bring the CFO along as well and show the direction and where you believe you are going to get the value. So in summary, I think we are all thinking, we were using the image in the preparation, that agent AI is a bit of a train leaving the station. And we are not completely clear yet, but it's clearly leaving the station now. So the point is, jump on the train, make sure you have the right, pillars in place and where you're going to go. But this is about, jumping on the train now and making sure, you build the capabilities, new type of employees and capabilities in the background that are required. You jump on the bandwagon and actually follow that revolution. Thank you very much.